Hello, and welcome to Your Living Life. I'm your host, Reverend Alexander Irizarry with Universal Ministries, and today's topic is going to be discovering your innate being. Before I go into the topic today, I want to touch base on last week's broadcast and launch. I took a look at it, and it's very multifaceted. There's a lot of information that I threw in there, and I just want to let you know that it's not going to be so scattered. It's very, very difficult to kind of in a nutshell throw at you exactly what it is that I'll be doing during this broadcast. So there was a lot of information there. Please do not get discouraged. Please stick around. Today's broadcast is going to be a lot more honed in. If you have any questions, concerns, comments, or suggestions, please feel free to give me shoot me an email at YourLivingLife@gmail.com. That's YourLivingLife@gmail.com. So today, discovering your innate being and your true self. Throughout the years, I'll give you a little bit of a background here. I was born and raised Catholic, as I said in my launch, and became born-again Christian in the Pentecostal church, and then wound up leaving the ministry in total, and then discovering my own spiritual path. Later on, through a class that I took at Purchase College in Purchase, New York, and it was a class called Enlightenment East-West, with Professor Suzanne Ironbiter, who was a wonderful, wonderful person. Anyway, I had felt throughout my life that I always had a purpose, a meaning to life for myself, and I know that many of us as human beings have those questions. We question ourselves as to who we are, where we come from, what's my purpose, or why am I here? And sometimes we're left with an empty feeling, a feeling that leaves us incomplete. And a lot of religions kind of tell you to feel whole. You've got to discover God. And although I believe in that, I believe in it in a different way than they do. And please forgive me if this offends you, but I'm here to strip down some of those theologies and to kind of give you a lot of the nitty-gritty and get rid of the smoke and clear some things up for you. I'm going to start off with a verse, and it's a very, very basic verse that comes from the Bible. And the verse basically is, we were created in God's image. I had read that verse thousands of times before, and that verse meant to me in those times, and what I was taught to understand, was that we were created as he was, as far as nose and eyes and hair, and he's in a spiritual realm, and he's untouchable, and he's this entity that's out here, and we're over here, and he judges us, and he's like this great parent. He's like the parent of all parents. And what that verse did for me was what it finally did for me was that it actually really empowered me to discover how powerful of a being I am as a human being, how powerful I am. And I hope that in the midst of this talk, you can discover exactly how powerful you are yourself, and how you're going to be able to create and destroy in your own life. It's like children building, little homes out of building blocks or anything, and we can create and destroy things in our own life just as children create little homes or little forts with their building blocks. So, going back to the questions as to who I am and what's my purpose, and these questions that most human beings have, anybody who feels that they serve a purpose and yet don't know what that is, we basically passed through into this earth with what we mentioned, a purpose, with a goal, with something that we were meant to be or something that we were meant to do, whether it be, will I ever get married, or whatever it is that you're actually trying to find out. Mine were more of, what's my purpose? Why am I here? What am I supposed to be doing? And back in 2006, while taking this class with Suzanne Ironbiter, I remember very, very clearly one day driving to work, And on my way to the office, these questions were popping up in my head, and it was a quiet morning. There weren't many people on the road, and I remember driving on the parkway, getting close to the exit by my office, and these questions popped up, and I started getting a little frustrated, and I just couldn't get it. I felt like I should have been so much further in my life, but further according to what was one of the biggest things that was missing. And it was at that moment that I kind of felt like this rush of like relief just hit me. And it just came over me. And what I mean by a rush of relief, I mean just a relief, like all of a sudden all that stress, all those questions that I had just kind of started to like get answered. And the one thing I started to realize was I was exactly where I was supposed to be. I was doing exactly what I was supposed to be doing. And I was exactly who I was. But there was one part missing: the acknowledgement of who I was and those other things. See, there is a part of us that is innate. There is a spirit within us. There is a yearning to accomplish something in our life that gets ignored from day one. From the first day that we're born, we start getting like rushed with all kinds of information, with all kinds of feelings. And we're very, very sensitive. We're receptive. We're incredible beings, so we sponge things right up into our head. And one of the things that I had, looking back on life and looking at how children are nowadays, we are very, very influenced